Hey y'all, it's Sheila. Thank you for stopping by and spending a few minutes of your day with me. We're having a real talk today. You can tell by the title. Real talk about breast cancer and things that happen after. Many of y'all that follow me know I took a medication that was for rheumatoid and fibro pain. It wasn't a narcotic, but it really, I had an adverse reaction, and I had to follow up with my doctor this week. I have had messages, text, emails that I haven't responded to, and I haven't talked to very many people about this. So I'm putting the cards out on the table today, so to speak. And y'all know, jumping into the deep water with my health is kind of hard for me to do. So I'm going to try and get through this without any emotion. Okay. When I went to the doctor, he's like, I really hoped when you came back in here today you had some of the sparkle back in your eyes. I don't like seeing you like this. I've touched briefly on this topic with you at your last two appointments, and you've been having none of it. But we're going to talk about it today. We're going to have a real talk, Sheila. I said, okay. He said, the only times I've seen you like this was during your husband's accident and when your brother died. He said, and I think you have two things going on. He said, your husband is very concerned. I said, okay. Okay, I'm listening. He said, tell me what's going on. I said, I cannot get over this exhaustion. I thought it was just the medication, but I had exhaustion before we tried the medication, and I'm off the medication, and I still have this exhaustion that I cannot describe. I cannot describe it. He said, you've dealt with exhaustion from rheumatoid. He said, but this is totally different, isn't it? I said, yes. He said, I think you have two things going on. You're not going to like hearing either one of them. For those of y'all that have an autoimmune, you start out with one and usually end up with two or three more. It's sort of like that. He said, I think you have chronic fatigue syndrome. I said, what in the world is chronic fatigue syndrome? Is it like fibromyalgia was years ago? People think it's in your head. He said, well, I don't know what people think, but it's real. And I think you're suffering from it. And he said, how many hours a night are you sleeping? I said, 2 to 3. He said, it's hard to get those 2-3 hours, isn't it? I said, yeah. He said, and you've tried napping during the day and it doesn't work. I said, no, it doesn't work. I'm exhausted, but I can't go to sleep. I have took stuff to make me sleep, and I cannot go to sleep. He said, yeah. And he talked about some other things that go along with chronic fatigue syndrome, and I'm sitting there going, oh my Lord, to myself. He said, and the other thing you have going on that you're not going to want to hear, you're suffering from depression. And I said, whoa, I don't get depressed. I don't allow myself to get depressed. I just deal with things and move on. He said, yeah, you're a type A personality just like I am. And all the years I have seen you, I've learned some things about you. Number one, you are a closer. You close the deal. You get things done. It's handled. It's over. Capiche. He said, number two, you're a caregiver. You've always been a caregiver. Number three, you figure out when you're presented with what's wrong, you say, this is what we're going to do. This is who we're going to see. Then we'll heal, and then we will adapt to what we have left to work with. He said, you're very good at adapting. He said, I've seen you do it time and time again. He said, but you also put things in pretty little boxes and lock them up with a key so you don't have to think about them. He said, and you can't quite get this breast cancer issue in a pretty little box and lock it up, can you? I said, what do I have to be depressed about? I was so fortunate. They think they got it all. I didn't have to have any chemo or radiation. Women have died from this. I didn't. They got it early. And, they're going to monitor me and everything's going to be okay. And, if there's a relapse, we'll deal with it then. He said that if there is a relapse, it's what's eating away at you. I said, a little bit. It is a little bit. He said, why? I said, because 3 people in my life have had relapses, and now they're in a really bad place. It came back stronger and with a vengeance, and they're having intensive treatment. He said, well, I want to tell you something. You have dealt with life-changing, but you have never dealt with possibly life-ending illnesses, and you don't know how to deal with it. But I'm going to tell you how we're going to do it. I said, don't tell me to exercise. I get up every morning, I drink my coffee, I go get on my exercise bike, and I ride 10 to 18 miles. It's not making me feel any better. He said, I want you to keep doing that. I said, I am. I've only missed a couple of days in 2 months. He said, you need to talk to people, but I know you're not one for going into a group and bearing your soul. He said, and I think going into a group and listening to people bare their soul might not help you. He said, I need you to know that people that go through possibly life-ending illnesses such as stroke, heart attack, and cancer have a high risk of depression. And it's just what happens. It's just what happens. I said, but I don't have anything to be depressed about. I have a wonderful family, absolutely out of this world husband and son, and wonderful friends. He said, but are you talking to them? I said, not really. He said, because it's hard for you to do. Show your weakness. I said, yeah. I was sitting one night and I was sitting with my phone and a message popped up. And I don't know if I've said this, and it was Monica McGillicuddy, and I didn't realize that she had sent me a previous message. But this message said, Sheila, please talk to me. And I chatted with her for a few minutes and told her I'd had a bad reaction to a medication, but I was going to be okay. And she said, people are asking me where you're at. What do I tell them? I said, just tell them I'll be fine. I have not been fine. I have not been fine. The doctor said, I'm going to write some things down for you, some websites I want you to look at, and I want you to read this information. He said, and you're going to realize how normal you are. I'm just going to read some little phrases from this. This is from a doctor at a cancer organization that studies have been done on depression after cancer. And he says at least 50% of people who have gone through cancer and came out on the other end fine, just like I did, suffer with depression. It's just what happens. And they're talking about a lady named Ruth. Let me scroll up. On the outside, Ruth, then 60, was her laughing, clowning self, always sweet and smiling and up to shenanigans. As long as she focused on others, she could pretend that everything was okay. Now let me pause while I find some more. Ruth says, I wasn't suicidal. I just didn't want to be. I didn't want to be me. I didn't want any of this. One moment. The over 50% of people that dealt with depression after cancer, some of them developed clinical depression, and some developed just, lesser forms of depression that affected their ability to function on a daily basis. And then on down here, he says people that have been through cancer, surgery, treatment, whatever, feel the pressure to get back to normal, and it adds to their issues. it was hard for me to admit that I'd been suffering from depression, because all my life I have not allowed myself to be a depressed person. I have faced things head on, dealt with them, fixed what I could. What I couldn't fix, I moved on and went on ahead. And part of my guilt was, I have been so fortunate and so many others haven't. Why do I feel like this? I can't tell you why, but I can tell you that after reading on sites that my doctor sent me to, I realize I'm pretty daggum normal. It happens to a lot of people. Therefore, if I'm going to be real about this whole breast cancer journey, I can't come on here with a smile on my face and talk about the grumpy little lady from the Wizard of Oz all the time. I've got to be real. So that's what I've been dealing with. That's why I haven't been leaving comments. The exhaustion has been unreal. And I've just needed a moment. And I may need another moment. I'm trying to ease back into things that I normally did and push myself to do more while feeling total exhaustion. So when this video goes up, I may be able to comment back to you and I may not, but I wanted you to know what was really going on. And I wanted you to know that if you know someone who has just battled cancer and come out on the good side of it, this could happen to them too. It really could. Don't make them think they have to be back to normal, because quite honestly, they may have a hard time, like me, figuring out just what normal is. That's been my biggest thing, is this exhaustion and feeling bad and bloating and, from the deep flap. Is this going to be my new normal? Because if it is, it's not a really good normal. I don't think I like it too much. How am I going to deal with it? Lots of thoughts, but it could happen to somebody you know. It happened to me. And that's pretty much it. So there you go. I'll comment when I can. And I hope to have a new normal soon, one that I like a whole lot better than this, because I don't like this normal. Y'all have a great day. Make it a great day. And I'll see you later. Bye now.